Chapter
NK
361, Satisfy You. So Phong and the others pulled the sled into the yard, and Lu Waimong turned back to close the main gate. Lu Waimong, why are you so startled? Lu Wai Thursday frowned and asked. Ah, nothing. Lu Waimong pursed her lips shyly. She really did not know whether to tell about the lurking wolf pack. From now on, if nothing important happens, do not go out alone. So Phong reminded gently, the wolves were still a great threat. Van Han furrowed her brows, asking, what has happened? A wolf pack? Van Han exclaimed in shock, her eyes widened. No, if we had met them, we would not have come back. Lu Waimong pouted. Do not be so tense, maybe the wolves just passed by. So Phong held the girl's hand to comfort her. Van Han became serious, put her hands on his shoulders, and said solemnly, no, from now on, if it is not necessary, you must not go outside, it is too dangerous. All right. So Phong pursed his lips and nodded, her domineering manner seemed oddly charming. The online crowd exploded again. Wow, the little lowly finally acted tough. Am I the only one who finds this move so cute? Screenshot, I will make an emoji pack. I can already predict tonight TikTok will be full of people copying this. Come inside, do not freeze here. So Phong chuckled, patting the girl's head. Mm. Van Han blushed slightly, then turned to unload the basket and tiger nuts from the sled. How do we handle these tiger nuts? Van Han asked curiously. Cut off the stems, throw away the roots. So Phong said as he sat at the wooden table, preparing some hot water. I will cook wild ginger soup. Van Han quickly set down the tiger nuts, ran to the fireplace, and carried the warm pot down. She poured everyone a bowl of ginger soup, softly saying, drink this quickly, to chase away the cold. All right. So Phong smiled, sipping the soup. So soothing. Lu Waimong sighed, her dry throat finally relieved. After finishing the soup, they sat by the fireplace to process the tiger nuts, peeling the tubers into the basket. The four of them chatted as they worked, while outside grew darker. I will cook dinner. Van Han cleaned her hands, took the pot, and got ready. She found rabbit meat, picked dry sticks, planning to make braised rabbit. The sisters and So Phong continued peeling. The basket was full, yet a bundle remained. No tools, then we will make them ourselves. Crude oil pressing is not too hard, only some details matter. So Phong explained. That is right, there is nothing you cannot do. Lu Waimong nodded in approval. So Phong was stunned, such words sounded a bit exaggerated. The three of them spent half an hour finishing, the second basket was half filled. All right, let us wash our hands and eat dinner. Van Han set the pot and bowls on the table, bringing out bowls and chopsticks. Coming. Lu Waimong got up, fetched water to wash, her stomach hungry but still too shy to say. After washing, the three sat down, the girl served noodle soup, the main dish for tonight. The rabbit smells so good. Lu Waimong inhaled deeply, swallowing her saliva. She picked a piece, chewed, and raised her thumb, the taste is wonderful. Rich flavor, delicious. So Phong praised. Then I will cook it often. Van Han smiled brightly, eating heartily. After half an hour, they finished dinner. Lu Wai Thursday carried the dishes to wash. Cleaned, they look like small potatoes. Lu Waimong rubbed her full belly, helping to wash the nuts. Tiger nuts, also called king of tubers or underground almonds, are rich in oil, starch, sugar, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Indeed, they taste even better than potatoes. Lu Waimong giggled, popping one into her mouth. So Phong laughed, continued washing, changing water several times. What is the next step? Lu Wai Thursday asked. Dry them, then stir and grind, similar to peanut oil pressing. So Phong explained. Pour them here. Van Han closed the stove lid, spread a clean mat. So Phong poured the nuts, spreading them to dry faster. Drying takes a while, do you want to play? Chess? Lu Waimong laughed mischievously, glancing at the table still with last night's board. You want to play against me, not afraid I will crush you? So Phong raised a brow. Yes, I want to challenge you. Lu Waimong answered firmly. Chapter 362, Do One Thing. Rock, paper, scissors. Lu Yiming said seriously. All right. Su Feng smiled casually and showed rock. Disgusting, lost again. Lu Yiming pouted and raised 2 fingers. She frowned, lowered her head to stare at the chessboard, pondering her first move. Louis Zhu and Yun Han sat aside, clearly wanting to help. The food is cold. Su Feng said with a bitter smile, still stuck on the first move after 5 minutes. Down, I play cannon. Lu Yiming shouted, still choosing the cannon. Again this way. She frowned and moved the horse. The two sat on the earthen bed playing. More than 10 minutes passed. Not right, this move should be here. Louis Zhu corrected her sister. I think this way may be better. Yun Han touched her chin, pointing at the board. Really, how did you two start playing for me? Lu Yiming cried out angrily. Thus the 3 girls teamed up to beat Su Feng. Su Feng smirked, push the horse forward, you will lose. Do not say so early, what if you lose? Lu Yiming raised her chin. Then the loser must help the winner do one thing. Su Feng said. No problem. The 3 nodded, confident of victory. Next step, how to move? Lu Yiming asked softly. Move horse, block his horse. Louis Zhu pointed. Okay, NK books. Yun Han and Lu Yiming nodded. The 3 discussed anxiously, finally decided the move. 4 people played nearly half an hour. You lost. Su Feng eliminated the last piece. Why lost? Lu Yiming stood straight in frustration. Say it, what do we do? Louis Zhu said. Seeing the board, Su Feng still had half the pieces, the defeat was clear. Yun Han blushed, do not go too far. Su Feng raised brows, what counts as too far? It is. Yun Han lowered head, blushing, imagining strange things. What is it? Su Feng leaned closer, smiling at her. Then let us massage you, as punishment. Lu Yiming quickly suggested. Yes, massage is fine. Louis Zhu agreed. All right. Su Feng leaned back, waiting. Yun Han stepped up, massaged his shoulder, is this strength fine? Yes. Su Feng closed eyes to enjoy. Louis Zhu massaged the other shoulder, Lu Yiming punched his legs. Sounds echoed fast. This is royal enjoyment, envy indeed. Another burst of fire appeared, Su Feng felt thrilled. Oh, too much enjoyment, is this still survival? With 3 beauties with me, I can endure forever. More than 10 minutes later, Su Feng waved, enough, more and I will sleep. Really? Yun Han asked. It is fine. Su Feng smiled. He rose, added wood to the fire, turned the herbs drying. All right, store it, continue tomorrow. He filled jars with herbs, placed them on the shelf. Go bathe first, we continue playing. Yun Han smiled, gave him towel and clean clothes. Su Feng took shovel and water jar into bathroom. About 10 minutes later he came out drying hair, the 3 still playing chess. Okay, who bathes first? He asked gently, then went to cultivation room. He added wood, checked fungus growth, lifted hay to check, observed sprouts. At this rate, mushrooms will soon grow. He murmured, satisfied. He saw weeds sprouting, shoots a centimeter long, soon with leaves. Soon I can eat the first wild vegetables. He clapped hands. When he returned, the Lu sisters still played, the girl bathing. Soon Yun Han came out, hung towel, climbed onto bed, Sister Meng, go wash, I play. All right, do not lose. Lu Yiming stood. Rest assured. Yunhan smiled, thinking hard. Su Feng came near, played with her hair, touched her neck. This move is not right, he said with a smile, her flushed face very charming. Chapter 363, The quilt was kicked away. Ah, achoo. No Tin Noyet rubbed her red nose, curling up in her sleeping bag. Beside her, Tavidin asked in a low voice, "Are you sick?" "No, I just want to sneeze." She shook her head, poked her head out to breathe fresh air, feeling dizzy and a bit hungry. "I will boil some hot water for you," Tavidin said softly, climbing out and putting a pot on the fire, adding snow inside. "We will soon find meat." He sighed. 3 days without meat felt worse than dieting. She glanced at the hidden camera, then forced a smile, trying to appear strong as a second-tier star. "Drink some hot water," he said gently, placing the pot on the snow to cool faster. "Okay," she whispered, crawling over with heavy steps. "Your face looks pale." He frowned, touched her forehead and said, "You have a fever." "Really?" "I only feel dizzy. I will be fine after some hot water and sleep." She forced a smile. She tilted the pot to drink carefully without touching the black metal. "If you cannot endure, we should leave, health is important," he said softly. "No need, it is not time yet." She waved her hand, returned to the sleeping bag. He pressed his lips, knowing her will was stronger than his own. He added wood, crawled back in, and adjusted her bag. Whispering by her ear, he said, "If you are not better tomorrow, we will go back." She turned, hugged his arm and murmured, "No, it has only been 3 days, we must stay at least 1 week, otherwise it is shameful. A fever in the wild is not trivial," he warned. "We will see tomorrow." She sighed. "Okay," he replied, sealing the bag tight against wind. On the earthen bed, So Fong slowly opened his eyes, looked at the girl still asleep, and gently poked her soft cheek. He carefully set her straight, slipped out of the bag, and looked at Lu's sisters. The quilt was all kicked off. He smiled, covered them again. "No, want a hug," Lu Waimong muttered, reaching forward. "So restless." He smiled bitterly, tucked her hand back in. He put on rabbit shoes, added wood to the wall stove, lit fire, and boiled water. "Today is colder, maybe snow is falling?" he muttered, opened the window, and peeked outside. Clicking his tongue, he whispered, "Snow indeed." He opened the main door, entered the greenhouse, rekindled the stove, and checked the shelves of mushrooms and greens. He walked around, checked each trough, and seeing no damage, sighed in relief. After half an hour, he returned, finding the girls awake. "Without a wide hat, covered in snow, you may catch cold," Van Han said, offering hot tea. "I know," he replied warmly, drinking. "I will cook breakfast, eat some snacks first," she said softly, busying at the stove. Lu Waimong searched jars, soon brought back 2 with wild banana slices and coconut shreds. "I will help you," she said, munching bananas while assisting the girl. He finished tea, stood up, and brought dried sedge roots. "Are you starting oil pressing?" Lu Wai Thursday asked softly. "Yes, first crush them," he replied, cleaned, books, peeled, and prepared. He sat, placed roots on stone, and pounded until crushed, then gathered into the jar. "Let me do it, you prepare the tools," she said gently, taking the stick. "All right." He smiled and stepped aside. She imitated, pounding steadily. He took his hat and axe, stepped into the snowy forest, and chose a tree. Circling, he found a large trunk 40 centimeters wide, and chopped. After more than 10 minutes, under his strength, it fell. He trimmed branches and dragged it back. Chapter 364, Oil Press. Squeak! The big wooden door of the shelter opened. Van Han poked her head out and gently said, "So Fong, come in for breakfast, then continue later." "All right." So Fong took off his wide hat, shook off the snow, and scraped the rabbit skin shoes before entering. Inside, Lu Mong was setting breakfast, while Lu Thursday was grinding bear nuts at the wooden table. "Eat first," So Phong said softly. A few minutes later, the four sat on the heated bed, lifting bowls to eat breakfast. Lu Mong chewed meat and mumbled, "The snowy day blocks every path. There is no other way." So Phong replied softly. "So Phong, how to handle the ground bear nuts?" Van Han asked gently, rubbing the crushed seeds. "They must be steamed first." So Phong answered. "Then let me do it." Van Han smiled, carried the ground nuts to the stove. So Phong dragged a log inside, shut the door, then split it. He kept a piece about 1.5 meters long, leaned the rest against the wall. He peeled the bark, used charcoal to draw a rectangle 1 meter 20 long. Then he used a stone as hammer and his knife as chisel. After 20 minutes carved a small hole. He widened it, hollowed the rectangle, then cut a slot 50 by 10 centimeters at the bottom for oil. Hollowing the log cost him nearly 2 hours of effort. So Phong, what next after steaming? How much cloth do we have? He dusted his hands and asked. He checked the pot, sniffed, the nuts were ready. We have plenty, but do we need cloth for pressing? Van Han asked curiously, taking cloth from the rack. Yes, we need cloth to wrap the nuts. So Phong said, then cut bamboo into pieces 20 centimeters long. He joined 4 pieces, tied them into a square frame. Then what? Van Han asked. Lay cloth, put steamed nuts, wrap them into cakes. So Phong said while working, cut cloth, poured nuts, filled the frame. He tied rope around the cloth to keep it tight. The tighter the better. So Phong said softly. Okay. Van Han nodded, clenched her fist and pressed until tight. So Phong, do we grind them all? Lu Mong sat by jars still full of nuts. Yes. She nodded, she and her sister had ground for 2 hours yet half remained. Hurry! Lu Thursday urged, pounding with stick. Got it. Lu Mong cracked her neck, bored. So Phong smiled, went to the shed, carried logs back. He built a wooden frame, tied with ropes, set the hollow log on it with the hole down. He cut a thick bamboo, cleared nodes, tied below the oil hole, the other end into a jar. He then carved wooden wedges, each 20 centimeters tall, one end wide, one end narrow. After half an hour, he made 3 wedges. Finally finished grinding. Lu Mong shook her hand, placed the empty jar aside, piled the crushed nuts. My oil press is ready. So Phong smiled, the wedges completed the ancient press. Chapter 365, The Treasure in Her Heart. Lu Thursday nodded as if she understood, yet she had no idea how the oil press worked. Wait a bit and you will know, it is actually simple. So Phong said with a smile. He turned to the fireplace, while the girl kept making cakes. Beside her lay 7 or 8 finished ones wrapped in cloth. Van Han, take a break. So Phong said softly. All right, once these are steamed I will finish them. Van Han replied, tying the cloth bundles with rope. So Phong carried the finished cakes to the oil press, pushing each into the rectangular slot. He filled 6 or 7 cakes, packing 2/3 of the slot. The Lu sisters watched curiously, eager to see how oil came out. The girl brought another cake, standing aside to observe. Can it press oil like this? Lu Mong asked curiously. One last step is needed. So Phong explained, inserting another wedge between 2 others and forcing it down. Since the slot was full, the wedges pressed against the sides, squeezing the cakes until oil seeped out. This was the oil press principle, compressing until oil escaped. So Phong pressed harder, then struck the wedge with a shovel, making it sink slowly. Drip, drip. Sound came from the clay pot as oil trickled out, flowing down the bamboo trough. Amazing, what principle is this? Van Han exclaimed, crouching to watch. It is simple. So Phong smiled, striking while explaining. Oh, so that is it. The three girls admired, realizing it was easy though exhausting. But only you have such strength. Lu Waimong remarked. Another way is to use pile driving. So Phong laughed. Fix the press on the ground, set wedges sideways, then swing a heavy log with 2 or 3 people, like striking a bell. The log's impact would drive the wedges, forcing oil out. Ancient people did this. Again he explained different simple methods. Did you learn this from Elder Vong? Lu Waimong asked in awe. No, History Channel taught me. So Phong said seriously. History Channel teaches that too? Lu Wai Thursday twitched her lips. The oil is slowing. Van Han frowned, watching the flow. We can press more. So Phong put down the shovel, grabbed a tree trunk, aimed, then struck down. Books. The wedge sank deeper, compressing cakes further, oil gushed out into the clay pot. Wow, that strike made my eyes twitch. If I took that hit I would collapse. So brutal, yet I like this pile driver. You sound like you are joking about driving, but no proof. This is ancient oil pressing, few know today. So Phong, you hit too hard, the ground is dented. Lu Waimong cried. The press left dents and cracks. Will the press break? Lu Wai Thursday asked nervously, once more shocked by his strength. I will reinforce it later. He laughed awkwardly, knowing his force was too much. Drip, drip. Oil kept trickling, then slowed after minutes. All right, it is enough. So Phong said, moving the pot to the table, now half full of oil. So much. The girls surrounded it. The cakes can be crushed and fried, then pressed again for tail oil. He explained, first pressing yielded hair oil, second pressing tail oil. Only 1/5 of the tubers were used, pressing all would give huge amounts. So Phong, many tubers remain uncollected. Lu Waimong's eyes lit, treasuring them in her heart. When snow stops we will dig them. He said with a smile, oil was vital for survival. He brushed his hands, tapped the wedges with a stick, and finally removed them. Chapter 366, Oil Pressing. He felt a bit worried, afraid that his earlier force might have broken the press. It is fine, it can still be used. So Phong checked the groove at the bottom, found no cracks, and sighed with relief. He wiped his oily hands, fetched a wooden beam to reinforce the press, especially the base, otherwise after a few more strikes it might collapse. Van Han carried the yam cakes made by the Lu sisters into the hearth, while the rest of the yams had to be steamed first. Lu Wai Thursday held a cake and softly asked, So Phong, do these need to be crushed? Yes, crush them all. So Phong nodded, swinging his axe to tighten the press. All right. Lu Wai Thursday untied the rope, lifted the cloth, and revealed a hard block of yam. Too hard. Lu Waimong struck it with her stick. Even harder than pounding the raw yams. Lu Waimong bit her lip, putting in effort. This oil is not easy to get. Lu Wai Thursday sighed, realizing they should never waste food again. So Phong smiled, tied the press tighter with ropes, especially around the joints. After half an hour, Van Han steamed another batch of yams and wrapped them in cloth. So Phong, another 6 are ready. She called, showing 6 neatly wrapped cakes. Good. So Phong replied, checking the press for safety. After confirming, he placed the cakes into the press and wedged the beams. Dong dong dong. He hammered the third beam in place. Once it was halfway, oil began dripping from the spout into the clay jar. Drip drip drip. He squatted, watching the drops fall, feeling his 2 days of labor finally rewarded. He stood, hammered again, then removed the beams and checked the cakes. After another hour, more yams were steamed and wrapped. By sunset, So Phong had pressed them all, collecting nearly 2 jars of oil. If we squeeze the dregs, it should fill up. He murmured, satisfied that the oil would last long. I will cook dinner first, we can press more later. Van Han said, stepping outside to fetch frozen venison. Van Han, what is for dinner tonight? Lu Waimong dusted off her hands and walked over. Stir-fry some greens, let us try cooking with the oil. Van Han smiled, happy for a change in taste. So Phong grinned, wore his hat, and went to add firewood. Half an hour later, Van Han and Lu Waimong brought stir-fried vegetables and soup, while Lu Wai Thursday prepared bowls and chopsticks. Smells so good. So Phong sat, grabbed a piece of venison, and chewed. How is the taste? Van Han asked eagerly. Very good, much richer. So Phong nodded, eating more. Lu Waimong mumbled while chewing, the yam oil makes it tastier. Exactly. Lu Wai Thursday agreed. So fragrant. Van Han added, eating heartily. She noticed her oily fingers and asked, So Phong, can this oil make soap? Yes, but we must try first. So Phong replied, explaining animal and plant oils could both be used. Then I will soak the ash now. Van Han set down her chopsticks and walked to the hearth. Do it after eating. So Phong chuckled. It must soak long. Van Han said innocently, filling a jar with water and ash, stirring it well, then leaving it by the fire. She washed her hands and returned to eat. Ah, making soap? Lu Waimong exclaimed. Yes. Lu Waimong answered with excitement, it was her first time. After half an hour, dinner was done. Van Han and So Phong busied themselves at the hearth, frying the crushed cakes for the second pressing. Good, not too much heat or the oil will turn bitter. So Phong warned, pouring the yam into the cloth. I know. Van Han nodded seriously, stirring carefully. Another half hour later, with the Lu sisters helping, 6 more cakes were ready and pressed. Minutes later, the dregs yielded more oil. Van Han crouched down, inhaled, and whispered, the dregs smell even better. Chapter 367, Did it leak out already? In the morning, around 8 o'clock. The Lu sisters had risen and were busy by the wall stove, while So Phong was in the training room keeping the fire alive. No. Still lying in her sleeping bag, Van Han slowly opened her eyes, frowned, held her belly, her face pale and sweaty. She glanced at the busy Lu sister, bit her lip and whispered, the time is off again, this time it is late. Today the girl had her period, but it came later than usual. Ah. Van Han bit her lip, her body trembling, the pain in her belly growing stronger. She envied the Lu sisters who seemed unaffected during their period, while she herself could hardly sit straight. Why is the timing so messy, she thought. She had prepared with cloth pads, yet it was still embarrassing. She should have had it 2 days earlier. Every night she slept with cloth pads, fearing a sudden visit like today. Ah, why is Van Han still not up, so late? Lu Waimong muttered curiously. All right. Lu Waimong nodded, stirring the pot of breakfast. Creak. The wooden door opened, so Phong stepped in with snow on his boots. He looked at the sleeping bag on the bed and asked, Van Han still has not gotten up? Shoo. Lu Waimong put her finger to her lips and whispered, maybe she is still sleepy, let her rest. So Phong frowned, the girl rarely slept late, only when sick or during her period. Her eyelashes trembled as she tried to hide her expression. So Phong touched her forehead, normal temperature, then poked her cheek and asked softly, Van Han, has it come? He already smelled faint blood, and knowing the time, he guessed why she had not risen. Van Han opened her eyes, face red with shyness. Did it leak out? So Phong asked gently, relieved it was not illness. No, I used a cloth pad. Van Han whispered with a blush. Are you sure? He asked softly, stroking her furrowed brows. Let me be slow, she replied, embarrassed. All right. She pulled her shirt, showing her white waist. So Phong pursed his lips, reached into the sleeping bag, found the acupoint on her belly and gently massaged. Ah, Van Han is on her period? Lu Waimong asked, overhearing. Van Han pulled the sleeping bag up, embarrassed. Lu Wai Mong, come here and cook breakfast. Lu Wai Thursday's mouth twitched, annoyed by her sister. Coming. Lu Wai Mong stuck her tongue out playfully, strangely feeling a bit envious of the girl. She shook her head, muttering, "Why do I feel this messy?" "All right, lie down, I will make you honey water." So Phong fixed her clothes and went down the bed. Van Han answered softly, her brows relaxing, the pain easing after his touch. So Phong poured honey into a clay cup, added warm water, stirred, and brought it back. "Drink, it will feel better," he said gently. "All right." Van Han forced herself up, drank slowly. "How is it?" he asked. "Much better," she smiled weakly and finished the cup. "Time to eat." Lu Wai Mong whispered, holding the pot. "Eat on the bed, I should get up too." Van Han said quickly. "Can you sit?" So Phong asked with concern. "If tired, lie down again," he said gently. "It is fine." Van Han replied, fixing her hair with a wooden pin. So Phong sighed, she was always thoughtful. He moved a small table onto the bed, and the Lu sisters set up breakfast. He prepared some extra food to ease her pain. "All right." Van Han smiled sweetly, holding the bowl. "Van Han, still in pain?" Lu Wai Thursday asked gently. "Better now, not so bad," she shook her head. "Does it hurt much?" Lu Wai Mong asked while chewing meat. "Do you want to try this feeling?" she teased, pinching her sister's waist, threatening to twist if she agreed. He. Van Han laughed. So Phong ate quickly, finished in about 10 minutes, and stood up. "So Phong, are you done?" Van Han asked softly. You all eat slowly," he said, walking to the shelf to look for herbs and wild greens for a tonic. Chapter 368, The Illness Grows More Severe. Cough cough. Lying in the sleeping bag, No Tin Noyet coughed weakly while Te Vai Din stirred the pot of melting snow with a wooden stick. This morning when she got up, her body seemed a little better, so the two of them went out to search for food. Fortune smiled on them, for by a cliff they found a nest of wild eggs. The snow was falling heavily, so to avoid losing their way they turned back quickly, and on the way they dug up some wild roots. But once back at their shelter, her condition worsened, and she began to cough again. "Can you endure it?" asked Te Vai Din with furrowed brows. She came close, touched No Tin Noyet's forehead, and said in a grave tone, "This cannot go on, if you continue like this your body will collapse." "It is not that serious." No Tin Noyet answered hoarsely. "A fever can damage the brain." Te Vai Din whispered. She raised her head and glared with beautiful eyes. "Then I will become a fool?" "Yes." Te Vai Din nodded seriously. She had seen many reports on television about untreated fevers that grew worse until people became dull-minded. "No, I cannot become a fool, I still want to sing." No Tin Noyet shook her head again and again. "Then we give up." Te Vai Din said solemnly. "Is there no other choice?" she asked, biting her lip, unwilling to give up after only 4 days in the wild. Te Vai Din frowned deeply, thinking that if there were no snow she could still find herbs in the forest, but in such a blizzard it was clearly impossible. She glanced at the camera, leaned close to whisper in her ear. "It should be fine, otherwise even if we call now, in such heavy snow the helicopter cannot come." No Tin Noyet murmured, for the snow still had not stopped. "We will see tomorrow before deciding." Te Vai Din sighed, picked up the iron pot from the fire, placed it in the snow to cool, then brought it back, saying softly, "Drink some hot water and sleep early." "Sister Vai Din, you are so kind." She smiled faintly and sipped from the small pot. Te Vai Din pressed her lips, waited until she finished, then set the pot aside and adjusted her sleeping bag. She rose, added logs to the fire, and kept watch. "Sister Vai Din, you are not sleeping yet?" asked No Tin Noyet softly. "You sleep first, I will keep watch a while longer." Te Vai Din replied gently, for she intended to guard late into the night. Then do not stay up too late, she reminded in a low voice, before closing her eyes to sleep soundly. Tai Din looked at the storm outside, then at the waterproof tarp above, thinking that tomorrow she must clear the snow, lest it become too heavy. At dawn, sunlight shone upon the vast white snow. The storm that had lasted a full day finally ceased, and the sun returned to the land. No Tin Noyette frowned, her face flushed red, her body trembling restlessly in the sleeping bag. No, just awake. She opened tired eyes, her head heavier than yesterday, the dizziness still present. It is still bearable. She forced herself to sit up, her messy hair falling across her face. She rubbed her head, eyes half closed, still weary. Let us call the helicopter directly, Tai Din said anxiously. No, we already agreed last night, first we check this place, if not then we leave. No Tin Noyette pouted. Fine, but if you cannot go on I will force us to leave. Tai Din sighed, conceding. All right. She nodded weakly, crawled out, rolled up her bag, and began to pack. Go boil water, I will do the rest. Tai Din said gently, for she had kept watch late last night, yet the embers still glowed and could be kindled easily. She answered softly, saving her strength for the road. Tai Din chopped wood, cut the ropes securing the tarp, shook off the snow, folded it neatly, and tied it into a roll. No Tin Noyette stirred the melting snow in the pot, asking, should we bring the basket too? Bring it. She bit her lip, for it was the first basket she had ever made, rough but hers. We will make another one later, Tai Din replied. She nodded, set the pot on the snow to cool. After more than 10 minutes, they drank hot water, finished packing, and prepared to depart. As soon as she stepped out, No Tin Noyette stopped and asked shyly, where are we going? The corner of Tai Din's mouth twitched, she pointed north, this way. Before coming here, she had studied the map carefully and memorized key spots. Then let us go. She smiled awkwardly, stepped on the thick snow, dizzy yet moving forward. Tai Din followed closely, watching her condition. Sister Vidin, how long until we arrive? She asked again. According to the map scale, under normal conditions half a day, but with the snow everywhere the time is hard to estimate. Tai Din replied quietly. All right, she nodded lightly. The two walked northward. Chapter 369, Herbal Soap. The Lu sisters exchanged glances, lips pressed lightly, and envy flickered in their eyes. Su Feng took out another iron pot, put in herbs and wild vegetables, then went to the bathroom to wash them. A moment later, he carried the pot back, set it before the fireplace in the wall, poured out the herbs and vegetables, filled half a pot of water and set it to boil, then added the familiar ingredients first. Van Han, can you still eat? Lu Thursday asked softly. She and her younger sister were full, the clay pot still had plenty of meat left, while the girl had eaten only a little. Let us save this for lunch. Lu Meng smiled, covered the leftover meat, and set it on the wooden table. Lu Thursday cleaned up the bowls and went into the bathroom. He placed the iron pot on the brick bed, set it low on the table, and called, Why Thursday, Meng, come and eat a little too. No, I cannot. Lu Meng waved her hand quickly, then turned into the bathroom to help her sister wash dishes. Su Feng frowned, then gently said, Eat while it is still hot. All right. Van Han smiled and nodded, scooping from the iron pot, blowing softly, then placing it in her mouth. Her eyes brightened as she said slowly, It is just as delicious as before. Then you should eat it all. Su Feng smiled faintly. All right. Van Han nodded with a radiant smile, waving her hand, Go ahead and do your work. Su Feng stood up from the bed and began cleaning the leftover pressed cakes from last night. After the second pressing, the wild tuber had no more oil, leaving only hard residue, much like bean dregs. Lu Meng carried bowls from the bathroom, set them on the rack, and asked, Su Feng, are these still useful? Yes, they can be steamed and eaten as a main dish. Su Feng replied softly, tapping the hard dregs, explaining they were best steamed again to soften. Such dregs filled 2 bamboo baskets, enough to last quite long. Then keep the cloth wraps intact, and only remove them when eating, it will be cleaner and more hygienic. Luai Thursday said softly. The bean dregs were still wrapped in cloth, as last night it was too late to unwrap them. All right. Su Feng nodded lightly, returning the dregs to the basket. Luai Meng glanced at the fireplace and asked softly, by the way, the wooden sticks soaked in ash water yesterday, can they be used now? There are no eggs to test the alkali, but you may try a little and see if it works. Su Feng said. First, use vegetable oil. He carefully explained the soap-making process, including details to note. I understand. Luai Meng nodded thoughtfully, then sat by the fireplace, watching the clay pot of ash water. The ash had settled, leaving clear water above and sediment below. Luai Thursday carefully poured the clear water into another clay pot for reserve. If only we had kept the wild eggs 2 days ago. Van Han murmured, remembering they had eaten them all. She rubbed her belly, having finished more than half the pot of wild vegetable soup, then reached for the iron pot. Luai Thursday hurried to take it, saying softly, Van Han, let me wash it. Thursday's sister, that is embarrassing. Van Han blushed, since she had been the only one drinking that soup. It is fine, just rest well. Luai Thursday said softly, carrying the pot into the bathroom. Van Han, a bit shy, leaned against the wall, watching everyone busy. Su Feng, this should be fine now. Luai Meng said, stirring the mixture of oil and ash water. Yes, almost done, use it for washing dishes first, then make another batch for bathing. Su Feng nodded. She picked another clay bowl, washed it, and continued making soap. Su Feng searched the wooden rack, soon found the needed herbs, washed them, and pounded them in a bamboo tube. Luai Thursday finished washing the iron pot, squatted beside him and asked softly, Su Feng, is this big flying grass? She recognized it at a glance, recalling her lessons. Big flying grass, also called flying goat grass, fairy herb, and many names, is a common Chinese medicinal plant. It treats lung diseases. Dysentery, itching, rashes, boils, and postpartum lack of milk. Su Feng planned to use it for a medicinal soap, to soothe the skin. Good idea. Luai Thursday said softly. Su Feng, it is ready. Luai Meng said, still stirring, the oil and ash water well mixed. All right. Su Feng replied, pouring some herbal water into the clay bowl. Luai Meng stirred quickly, and the mixture slowly turned pale green. Good, once it solidifies we will know if it works. Su Feng said softly. Chapter 370, This is far too dangerous. She gently pressed her hand on the earthen bowl set in the soap and whispered. It is so cold, by night it should freeze. The first bowl of soap already showed signs of hardening, maybe it would take shape even before night. Van Han, if sitting is not comfortable, lie down and rest a while. So Phong kindly said to the bored girl on the earth bed. All right. Van Han softly answered, holding a small clay bowl of hot water. So Phong went to the pole, carried a small wooden stool to sit by the bamboo cage, holding a walnut to train Ka Dan. Chee chee chee. The little squirrel hurried over, its fluffy tail swaying, claws reaching through the cage for the walnut. Ka Dan curiously stuck his head out, half his body poking out. Woo woo. So Phong spread both hands, showing the walnut, and whistled to Ka Dan. Chee chee chee. With a flick of its tail, Ka Dan hesitated, then jumped into his palm, hugging the walnut to gnaw. There is progress. So Phong smiled, gently stroking its head. Chee chee chee. Ka Dan resisted a bit, then focused on the walnut, ignoring the stroking. Good boy. Luai Meng leaned closer, reaching to touch it. But the next moment, Ka Dan shrank back, hugging the walnut, hiding deep in the cage. Really, am I so scary? Luai Meng pouted angrily, shaking the cage. It must be slow, each feeding time is for training. So Phong said with a smile. Then next time I will feed it. Luai Meng muttered, poking with a straw. Girls love furry animals like this, except for mice. Are we going to dig galingale today? Lu Waimong asked as she stood up. We will go in a few days. Today there is no snow, let us check the beach first. So Phong said, glancing at the girl on the earth bed. Yes, let us see if there are fresh seafood. He muttered, always eating salted meat was not good, they needed to change taste. Then return early, and do not go near places with wolf packs. Van Han sternly warned. She was in her period and could not move much, or she would go too. All right, you two can play chess to pass the time. So Phong nodded. Got it, be careful. Van Han urged again. Will do. So Phong gently replied, turning to pack things. I am going, back before dark. So Phong waved and pushed the wooden door out. Sister, I will go too. Lu Waimong called, hurrying after. Stay safe. Lu Wai Thursday reminded. Got it. Lu Waimong answered, closing the wooden door, leaving for the beach. They went out again. Van Han muttered with a pout. Lu Wai Thursday added wood to the fireplace, tilting her head to ask. So, what shall we do? Play chess? We used a lot of linen these days, let us weave more, chess can wait until night. Van Han thought then said. They had plenty of linen, but it was mostly used to make cakes. Meanwhile, So Phong and Lu Waimong trudged on thick snow toward the beach. Lu Waimong tilted her head and asked. So Phong, which shore this time? The one with bamboo grove. So Phong answered, hoping to find sea cucumbers as nourishment. The snow was thick, they walked for nearly 1 hour before reaching the shore. Though the island was freezing, the beach was not frozen, waves still roared and washed the sand. Ah, seaweed. As soon as they reached the beach, Lu Waimong spotted seaweed washed ashore, hurried to collect it into the bamboo basket. So Phong, why are you undressing? She turned to see him remove his jacket and fur coat, bare arms ready to strip pants. She quickly covered her eyes, peeking through her fingers. I will dive in, do not wander. So Phong said with a smile, stripping all but a loincloth. He rubbed his arms, goosebumps rising in the cold wind. Lu Waimong forgot shame, cried out. Are you crazy, swimming in this cold? It is fine, after swimming a while it warms, many enjoy winter swimming. So Phong calmly said. In fact, many like swimming in winter cold. When the body met icy water, blood circulation sped, renewing. Vessels under skin shrank, blood pulled into organs, then vessels dilated. Skin vessels expanded again, blood flowed back through body. This cycle trained vessels, increased elasticity, supported the heart. So winter swimming was called vascular sport. Practiced scientifically, it boosted cold resistance, microcirculation, and disease defense. Chapter 371. Do you want to change here? Then you must be more careful. Lu Yiming blushed, bit her lips, and her gaze drifted away. So Feng's figure was now in excellent shape, muscles balanced across his body, but unlike the explosive type, his build looked more restrained. I know. So Phong smiled faintly, pulling rope and canvas from the bamboo basket. He grabbed the 4 corners of the cloth, tied them with rope, leaving a small opening, making a simple bag. He tied the sack to his waist, warmed up his body again, then waded out into the sea. All right, wait for me to return. He waved without turning, then dove into the sea, heading toward the trench. Really, always doing dangerous things. Lu Yiming pursed her lips, clutching her clothes. Underwater, So Phong moved his limbs, soon reaching the rock wall where he had found pearls before. With enhanced vision, he quickly spotted 2 sea cucumbers in a crevice, took them, and placed them in the bag. I wonder if I can find pearls. He thought, swimming along the cliff. He had been underwater about 3 minutes, time to rise for air. Such a big abalone, I will take it. He saw one on the sand, smiled, and grabbed it. His chest tightened, warning of low oxygen. Time to go up, he thought, stroking hard, pulling himself toward the surface. Splash! On shore, Lu Yiming stared anxiously. So Feng's head broke the surface, he greedily breathed in fresh air. She sighed in relief and shouted, "So Feng, are you all right?" "I'm fine, very good." He waved, signaling safety. "Are you coming up now?" She stood on tiptoe, trying to see clearly. By her side, a fire burned with a pot of snow melting on it. "I will dive a few more times," he replied, then took a deep breath and dived again. "Really, you have no idea how worried I am." She stomped anxiously. So Feng dove again, this time swimming another direction. The water below was warmer than the surface. After warming up and swimming much, his body did not feel cold. Seaweed. A patch of seaweed appeared. He slowed, controlled his body, stirred the plants, and soon found sea cucumbers and some hand-sized fish. The fish darted into deep water before he could act. Regretful, he picked up the cucumbers, put them in the sack, kept searching, found 2 pearls, and took them. Soon he swam up again, this time 5 minutes. He kept diving 7 or 8 times, each lasting about 5 minutes. One last time, then to shore. Ah! He closed his eyes, crouched near the rock, and peered into a crevice. Is the lucky halo working? He smirked, not expecting to find a lobster. The lobster shot backward to escape. Since I met you, how can I let you run? He frowned, swiftly grabbed its back. The lobster struggled hard, but compared to him it was weak. It squirmed, he pulled seaweed, tied it tight, and shoved it into the bag. This trip was worth it. He patted the sack and swam upward quickly. Splash! After a while his head rose, he gasped fresh air, then swam ashore, calmed once feet touched sand. He stepped onto the shore, Lu Yiming rushed holding his clothes. Wait a bit, let the cold air fade. He waved, grabbed a cloth to wipe himself dry, dried his hair. After winter swimming, one must dry quickly, let body warm, then wear clothes, or jog to restore heat. Soon his skin flushed red. He looked down at his wet underwear, tugged it, and whispered, "Well, I must change my underwear." Her face flushed, she turned aside, stammering, "Do you want to change here?" "Otherwise, where else would I change?" He smiled bitterly, stripped the wet garment, threw it on the sand. He gently patted her shoulder, "Yimeng, give me my pants." All right." She dared not turn back, found his pants, and handed them behind her. Chapter 372, She Will Scold You Again. After a moment, he whispered, "All right, give me the clothes." "Okay." Lu Yimeng lowered her head to the ground, then slowly turned. Seeing So Feng's feet wrapped in cloth, she finally turned around reassured. So Feng put on a fur coat and a jacket, adjusting his collar. He twisted his neck, then did push-ups on the spot, letting his body heat return to normal. "Thanks." So Feng smiled, breathing hard to calm his heartbeat, then sipped hot water. Lu Yiming glanced at the sack by the side, curiously asked, "Did you find something good?" "You can open it and see." So Feng smiled, sitting by the fire, drying his hair before it froze in the cold. "It is heavy." Lu Yiming carried the sack, squatted by the fire, and opened it curiously. The next second, she froze. Inside were abalones, sea cucumbers, pearls, and shells. Lu Yiming's eyes widened in shock. "Oh my, lobster." The most dazzling was the rainbow-colored lobster. In the live room, viewers commented rapidly. "Damn, such a big lobster?" "So Feng is awesome, this lobster is bigger than my head, such a big one must cost at least 1,000. So Feng sipped hot water, watching Lu Yiming's shocked face. Her long eyelashes trembled, she tilted her head and asked, "So Feng, how did you catch this lobster?" Roughly, the lobster stretched about 60 centimeters, its antenna nearly 90, weighing about 5 kilos, much bigger than normal. My gosh. Lu Yiming's lips twitched, how could he casually catch such a giant? So Phong smiled faintly, truly unbelievable luck. What kind of lobster is this, so beautiful? Lu Yiming touched the long whisker. It is a brocade lobster, the expensive kind. So Phong said with a smile, he had seen them online before. Brocade lobsters, also called flower lobsters, are precious species. Many countries try to farm them but have not succeeded. Their length is usually 20 to 35 centimeters, weight 2 to 3 kilos, far less than the one So Phong caught. Lu Yiming licked her lips, eyes shining. The name is nice, I wonder how it tastes. We will try tonight. So Phong pursed his lips, he too looked forward. It was his first time eating such a giant lobster, caught by himself in the wild. She poured things from the basket, then packed the lobster and abalone into cloth. Really, so messy. Lu Yiming blushed, muttering. She tidied things into the basket, preventing dampness. The two walked barefoot on the sand, soon collected many seaweeds, sometimes small shells. Nearly an hour later, So Phong and Lu Yiming sat by the fire again, waiting for their feet to dry, then put on fur shoes and carried the basket. Come, let's go back for lobster. So Phong grinned. Today was a big harvest. The basket held seaweed, under it lobster, sea cucumbers and seafood. The cold would keep them fresh. When we are back, Yun Han will scold you. Lu Yiming giggled. Can't avoid it. So Phong smiled bitterly. The girl would surely worry about him diving. Don't worry, I will explain for you. Lu Yiming patted her chest bravely. So Phong chuckled, glancing sideways, murmuring, even with such pats, no therapy could save that. They spent nearly an hour, close to 4 in the afternoon when they reached the camp. So Phong looked around, only their footprints were there, no animal tracks. His caution was trained in the wild. Near the camp, Lu Yiming called, "Sister, we are back." Creak. The wooden door opened. Louis Zhu poked her head, softly. You are back, come in. Hee, this time it is a big harvest. Lu Yiming smiled, stepping on the thick snow. What harvest? Louis Zhu asked curiously, waiting for So Phong to enter and shut the door. Tell later, let's get inside first. So Phong smiled, shaking snow from his fur shoes, then went in. Yun Han sat on the Kong bed, putting down the loom. Her eyes swept over So Phong and Lu Yiming, worriedly asked, You are back, not hurt right? No. So Phong answered gently, putting the basket before the girl. That is good. Yun Han sighed. Then glanced at the full basket, curiously asked, Out so long, what did you harvest? She looked carefully. Aside from seaweed on top, through the gaps something else seemed hidden. Chapter 373, Finally Arriving. He scratched his head awkwardly and said softly, Well, please do not be angry. Yun Han frowned slightly and asked suspiciously, Angry? Why should I be angry? Yun Han, to be honest, So Phong went into the sea again, I could not stop him. Lu Yiming leaned closer to whisper. A mischievous smile flickered on her lips, clearly pushing the blame away, for every time So Phong entered the sea she grew tense, and the more often he did so, the more worried she became. The corner of So Phong's mouth twitched. Was this Lu Yiming defending herself? Yun Han furrowed her brows, her face serious, and asked, So Phong, did you go into the sea again? Just for a while. So Phong showed a guilty look. Cough, did I not promise you that day not to go into the sea? He spoke awkwardly. Yun Han rolled her eyes with disdain, so he only promised for that day. Come on, do not be mad, Yun Han. So Phong went to the sea to find seafood for you to nourish your body. After all, you lost much blood. Lu Yiming laughed, poking the girl's slender waist. Not that much. Yun Han's face flushed red. Look what I found. Knowing she was worried, So Phong quickly opened the basket, revealing what lay beneath the seaweed. A giant lobster. Yun Han exclaimed in shock, leaning forward to see clearly the massive lobster. Is this the surprise? Lu Wai Thursday was also astonished. One trip to the shore brought back a giant lobster. So Phong caught it himself. Lu Yiming laughed, enjoying the astonished faces of her sister and the young girl. So beautiful, and so big. Yun Han's eyes sparkled. Even in seafood restaurants she had never seen such a large lobster. Such a large lobster is truly rare. Lu Wai Thursday nodded in admiration. We will eat it for dinner. So Phong whispered, a lobster this beautiful must taste great. I never thought my first giant lobster would be in the wilderness. Yun Han smiled softly. Lu Waimong suddenly remembered something and asked anxiously, right, Yun Han is in her period, can she eat lobster? Yes, lobsters are rich in nutrients and vitamins, very beneficial for the body. So Phong said lightly. Lobsters contain calcium, iron, zinc, and many nutrients. These minerals are crucial for renewal, and calcium stabilizes the nervous system and calms emotions. In his knowledge, eating lobster helps ease a woman's mood swings during her period. Seeing the three girls' delighted faces, he knew it worked, for who would not want to eat a giant lobster? That is good, Yun Han, rest well, tonight I will cook. Lu Wai Mong said excitedly. Sister Mong, do you know how to cook it? Yun Han laughed. No. Lu Wai Mong stuck out her tongue. Yun Han laughed like a blooming flower, let me teach you. She had watched many cooking videos, not forcing herself but learning well, so she knew various ways to prepare lobster, steaming, frying, spicy stir-fry, and more. All right. Lu Waimong climbed onto the bed, the two sat together discussing cooking methods. So Phong chuckled, saying, I will check the cultivation room. Half an hour ago more wood was added, the fire should still be on. Lu Wai Thursday reminded softly. I know, I will also check the mushrooms. So Phong replied, pushing the wooden door to the cultivation room. Lu Wai Thursday turned to tidy the basket, placing fresh seaweed in a ceramic jar with water to clean it. After rinsing, she shook her hands dry, arranged the tools and set them neatly on the wooden shelf. This is... Lu Wai Thursday muttered, picking up a cloth from the basket, her face reddened. It was So Phong's underwear. Sister Thursday, leave it, I will wash it later at night. Yun Han giggled. It is fine, I will wash it now, it will dry by night. Lu Wai Thursday whispered, her face flushed, carrying the garment into the bathroom. A while later, she came out with it clean, propped on a bamboo stick near the fireplace. Inside the cultivation room, So Phong inspected the wood and mushrooms, carefully checking them. Soon the mushrooms will grow, he murmured, walking around to make sure no pests were there. He opened the door and looked up at the sky, saying softly, it is getting dark quickly. The sky was dimming, it was already past 5 in the evening, the mountains darkened, so he stepped back to the shelter. Toa toa toa. From the bushes a few hundred meters outside the yard came a sound. Tingyu, endure, we are almost there. Te Vai Din supported the weary No Tingyu. With no water and walking for so long, her weak body had worsened, her illness deepened, and she nearly fainted many times. Really? No Tingyu's eyes blurred, walking unsteadily. Without Te Vai Din she would have collapsed in the snow. Yes, this pine forest is familiar, he often came here. Te Vai Din answered softly, scanning the darkening forest. Finally we are almost there. No Tingyu murmured weakly, her head dizzy, then she collapsed. Sitting on the bed, So Phong raised his brows, eyes turning toward the gate. With keen hearing, he caught the unusual sound. Chapter 374, So Much Urine. It's fine, I'm just curious how the big lobster will taste. So Phong turned his head and waved his sleeve. Me too. Van Han laughed brightly, tilting her head toward the Lu sisters busy at the fireplace. First wash the lobster once. Lu Waimong recalled the girl's instruction. She pushed away the snow in the basin, revealing the lobsters buried beneath. The snow kept them fresh. Lu Waimong picked up a lobster, rinsed it in snow, scooped fresh water, scrubbed it from tail to head with dry grass. That should do. Van Han suddenly remembered, whispering, right, Mong's sister, remember to release the urine first. Lu Waimong blinked, puzzled, urine? What is that? It's the lobster's urine. Van Han explained. Inside lobsters there is urine, it must be removed or the meat will smell strange and lose freshness, so it must be cleaned first. Shameless. Lu Wai Thursday muttered with a glance. Actually it's easy, just use. Van Han giggled, then described the process. Turn the lobster, expose the tail, stick chopsticks in from the base, push through to the head quickly, then the urine flows out. Repeat a few times, soon it's empty, then wash again. Got it. Lu Waimong nodded, fetched chopsticks. She pierced into the tail base, pushed deep, pulled halfway out, then inserted again. Drip, drip. The lobster trembled, urine streamed along the chopsticks into the basin. So much urine. Lu Waimong muttered, trembling as she held the lobster. She waited until it emptied, then changed water to wash it clean. On the fireplace sat an iron pot with boiling water. Sister, change the pot, this one is too small. Lu Waimong said, holding the lobster. Their pot was smaller than So Fong's, the lobster did not fit. All right. Lu Wai Thursday replied, found another pot, emptied the old one, set it on the fire. Lu Waimong placed stones at the bottom, to keep lobster from soaking directly. Normally steaming takes 10 minutes, but here in the wild it's hard to time. Lu Waimong murmured, adding wood. Don't count, do you want 600 seconds? Lu Wai Thursday smirked, her sister was always meticulous. I just want precision. Lu Waimong laughed, wiped her hands, prepared abalone and sea cucumbers, tonight's meal would be rich. I'll make dipping sauce. Lu Wai Thursday said softly, lobster needed sauce. The firewood is not enough, I'll get more. Lu Waimong stood, grabbed a torch, opened the wooden door, went outside. Whoosh, whoosh. Cold wind blew outside. She kept talking, hoping no Tin Noyet with fever might wake. Tai Vai Din looked around, night had fallen, the road unclear. A fire. Ahead a faint light flickered. She gritted her teeth, stepped through snow, certain that was the target. The fire moved, then vanished, soon appeared again, shifted then disappeared. She chose that direction, avoided trees, walked 10 minutes, finally neared. Finally here. She sighed, knocked weakly on the gate. Inside, Lu Waimong tended the pot. She lifted the lid, the lobsters had turned red. Enough, more will toughen the meat. Van Han quickly said, sitting on the earth bed, peeking at the red lobsters. Hot, so hot. Lu Waimong grabbed the feelers, quickly lifted one into the basin. Careful, don't burn yourself. Van Han warned. Lu Waimong blew her hands, smiled, it's fine. She rinsed the pot, added half pot of water to cook seafood soup. So Phong, are you here? Outside, a weak call sounded. So Phong frowned, looked at the door, who is outside? Who is outside? Van Han echoed. She only heard Lu Waimong murmuring recipe and wood crackling. There is someone outside? Lu Wai Thursday and Lu Waimong stopped, glanced at each other, then stood up together. Chapter 375, The Superstar Arrives. Ho ho ho. In the courtyard the cold wind cut to the bone, so Phong held a torch lighting the surroundings. At a glance he saw outside the barrier above 3 drones circling. Where are they? Lu Waimong asked suspiciously. At the gate on the snow lay 2 women, one had fainted, the other was exhausted. So Phong, thank goodness. Tai Vai Din lifted her head to the firelight looking at his face, her heart eased with a sigh, then dizziness struck. Lu Waimong widened her beautiful eyes and cried, is that not No Tin Noyet and Tai Vai Din? Truly them? Why are they here? Lu Wai Thursday exclaimed, questions rising in her mind, how could 2 superstars appear here? The Lu sisters recognized them, in the city they often saw them on TV. It is a long story, first treat Tin Noyet please. Tai Vai Din sighed softly. How is she? Van Han rushed closer, seeing the two stars even startled 803, for both No Tin Noyet and Te Vai Din were very famous. So Phong frowned slightly, whispered, "Outside the wind is fierce, let us go inside first." He bent and carried No Tin Noyet in a princess hold, striding swiftly to the shelter. "Yes," Van Han quickly replied. "Hurry inside." The Lu sisters supported Te Vai Din, shut the gate, and went into the shelter. So Phong carefully laid No Tin Noyet on the earthen bed, moved aside the low wooden table. He placed his palm on her forehead. The fever was high. At once he rose, cut a piece of cloth, soaked it in cool water, wrung it dry and pressed it on her forehead to bring down the fever. He turned to Te Vai Din, who sat at the table, asking softly, "What happened? Were you contestants too?" "No." Te Vai Din pressed her lips and shook her head, her voice hoarse. "Wai Mong, pour her some water." So Phong said. "Ah, all right." Lu Wai Mong found a bamboo cup, rinsed, filled warm water and handed it over. "Thanks." Te Vai Din whispered gratitude, then drank. "Tell what happened." So Phong glanced at No Tin Noyet lying there. "Perhaps you do not know, I and No Tin Noyet are observers of the Wild Survival 365 Days program, this time." Te Vai Din softly explained briefly. "Observers?" The Lu sisters exclaimed. Indeed, they had not known, for observers were invited after the contest began. "Yes, see our clothes and tools," Te Vai Din calmly said, laying out hatchet, waterproof cloth, and other gear on the table. Her meaning clear: as observers they had more equipment, even if just a little. So Phong looked around, counted 8 items, while ordinary contestants had only 6. Inviting superstars to experience wild survival, truly a great spectacle. Lu Wai Thursday whispered. "In 9 more days we will leave." Te Vai Din said softly, "Today was their 5th day on Huin Noyet Island, 1/3 of time already passed." "Understood." So Phong nodded, turning to check No Tin Noyet's pupils. He replaced the cloth with fresh cool water. "Why Thursday, Wai Mong, cover her with blanket." So Phong said, moving to find herbs for the fever. "Yes." The Lu sisters stood, spreading blankets. "I have a sleeping bag here," Te Vai Din said, opening it. "Better to use the sleeping bag." So Phong replied without turning. "Let me do it." Lu Wai Mong took the bag, carefully moved No Tin Noyet inside and zipped it. "Van Han, do not run about, sit quietly." So Phong warned the girl with a stern glance. "Ah doi." Te Vai Din sneezed, holding her stomach, showing a cold too. "Wai Mong, cook some wild ginger soup." So Phong said, handing her 2 roots. "Right away." Lu Wai Mong hurried to prepare. "Why Thursday, move the grill outside, tonight we eat roasted meat first." So Phong said, since the stove had only one spot, they needed it for soup and medicine. She cleaned the grill, went under the eaves, fetched 2 deer cuts, set them to thaw. So Phong searched herbs, glanced at the lobster by the stove, paused and said, "Eat the big lobster first, once cold it will not taste good." "Big lobster?" Te Vai Din raised her brow, followed their gaze, and indeed saw a splendid huge lobster. She bit her lip. How after days apart had So Phong even caught such a lobster? Chapter 376, Are they all this crazy? Great, finally caught up. Hamin let out a sigh. He had planned to contact the director team to quickly send help, since No Tin Noyet's condition clearly looked bad. "I think we should let the pilot prepare carefully in advance." Vong Lam looked at the screen and spoke. He found it hard to believe that So Phong could heal anyone, since No Tin Noyet's condition was clearly a fever. How could wild herbs cure her? "Yes, the medical staff and the helicopter are waiting on the island," Hamin said, facing the camera, trying to comfort No Tin Noyet's fans. The live comments section had long been taken over by her fans, with countless calls for rescue flooding the screen. Some even sent gifts worth 50,000, just to make their red highlighted comments more visible, hoping more people would see them. "Viewers, don't worry, if So Phong cannot treat her, the doctor will immediately come by helicopter. Ha Min put on a formal smile, answering the viewer's doubts. As for the comments, he hardly looked, though he could guess what they were about. Soon after, more red highlighted comments filled the screen. Ha Min could not help his curiosity, leaning slightly to read. Quickly send out our goddess Tin Noyet, that So Phong knows nothing, don't let him harm our goddess. That's right, there's nothing So Phong cannot do, just a fever, he already cured 2 people. The comments filled the screen like heavy rain. The corner of Ha Min's mouth twitched, are fans really this crazy now? Lu Wai Thursday gently placed the ceramic bowl on the wooden table, tilting her head and softly said, So Phong, you should eat too. You all eat first, I will finish preparing the medicine. So Phong replied casually, squatting by the fireplace to handle the herbs. The Lu sisters sat around the wooden table, using military knives to crack open the lobster shells, revealing white tender meat inside. Van Han also got down from the earthen bed, sitting by the table, her stomach long hungry. So tender, so delicious. Van Han picked up a piece of lobster meat with chopsticks, dipped it in sauce, and put it into her mouth to chew. Though a bit cold, it's still very tasty. Lu Waimong half closed her eyes, commenting with her mouth full. Van Han quickly passed the chopsticks to a bewildered Tay Vi Din, smiling, Sister Vi Din, you should eat too. While chewing lobster, her long lashes trembled. This big lobster was far tastier than the one she had eaten before, fresher and juicier. The 4 girls sat around the wooden table, eating meat eagerly. The young girl glanced at busy So Phong, then stood up, fetched a ceramic bowl, placed a few pieces of lobster in it, added sauce, and returned to sit by the fireplace. So Phong smiled, opened his mouth to accept the lobster, and chewed. How does it taste? Van Han laughed and asked. So Phong frowned slightly, nodded, yes, better than the big lobster. How can you compare, a big lobster costs
NK
so little.
Books.
Van Han pouted, feeding him another piece. With his mouth full of lobster, So Phong mumbled, you should eat more, it's good for your body. I already ate a lot, now you eat 1 more piece. Van Han stubbornly insisted, pushing the chopsticks into his mouth. All right, the rest you all eat. So Phong waved his hand, signaling his mouth was too full. Hee, fine. Van Han smiled happily, returning to the table. Should we save some for Sister Tin Noyet? Lu Waimong asked, glancing at the small amount left, then at No Tin Noyet still unconscious on the bed. No need, you all eat, people with fever cannot eat seafood, they should only eat light food. So Fong's voice came. He finished preparing the herbs, placed them into the ceramic jar, added water, and set it aside. Okay. Lu Waimong cast No Tin Noyet a look, then joined the others to finish the lobster. Soon, only a pile of red shells remained, the 4 girls still unsatisfied. She stood, went to the fireplace, lifted the lid of the iron pot, stirred the ginger soup with a wooden spoon, took a sip, then brought the pot to the table. Lu Waimong scooped ginger soup, placing it before Tay Vi Din. Drink quickly, warm yourself up. Van Han said gently. She scooped more soup, climbed onto the bed, preparing to feed No Tin Noyet. Van Han, let me help you. Lu Waimong wiped her hands, climbed up, and held No Tin Noyet up. Don't let her drink too much, later she needs to take the medicine. So Phong reminded, placing the jar of herbs on the fireplace to brew. All right. Van Han replied, softly blowing the hot soup, feeding No Tin Noyet with a small spoon. This is my first time being this close to a star. Lu Waimong sighed, in the past she could only see her on TV, never thought one day she would appear beside her. So beautiful. Van Han whispered with admiration, putting the spoon into No Tin Noyet's dry lips. You will grow up even more beautiful than her. So Phong sat beside, softly said, poking the girl's tender cheek, girls clearly cared about their looks. Van Han froze slightly, her face flushed, and she asked, really? Chapter 377, The Shy Superstar. Smooth Talker. Van Han scolded, her face flushed red. Girls could never fully resist sweet words. I am only telling the truth. So Phong smiled softly. He climbed onto the earthen bed, removed the cloth from No Tin Noyet's forehead, and pressed his palm to feel her heat. Tai Vai Din stepped closer and asked worriedly, how is she? So Phong withdrew his hand and answered gently, her fever has gone down a bit, after taking more medicine she will be fine. Can fever with a cold really be cured so easily? Tai Vai Din stared deeply at him. So Phong smirked, he already guessed what the other thought, but belief did not matter much. He walked to the stove, lifted the lid of the clay pot, stirred the herbs with a wooden spoon, then sprinkled in a pinch of salt, stirred again and covered it. He crouched, adding several logs to the fire. The flames blazed. Time passed, more than half an hour. Cough, cough. No Tin Noyet suddenly coughed, half awake opened her eyes. So Phong, she woke up. Van Han cried out. If the cloth is no longer cool, replace it and cover again. So Phong instructed without turning back. All right. Van Han smiled. Let me change it. Lu Waimong took the cloth and stepped off the bed. Tin Noyet, how do you feel? Tai Vai Din asked gently. He pressed his lips. She still looked weak, but at least conscious. Sister Tin Noyet, just lie still. Van Han whispered, pulling the blanket. Ah? Van Han? Is this So Phong's hideout? No Tin Noyet widened her eyes. Yes, we are here. Tai Vai Din nodded. Phew, good, I am not turning into a fool. She sighed. When fainting she feared high fever would burn her brain. A fool? Van Han muttered. If fever is not reduced, it can truly happen. So Phong chuckled. He poured decoction into a ceramic bowl, just full. Ah, it is So Phong, finally seeing him in person. Tai Vai Din's long lashes trembled, her heart eased, after watching countless videos of him. Am I that famous? He frowned, bringing the bowl. Drink it, you will feel better. Among all contestants, you are the most famous. No Tin Noyet smiled faintly, receiving the bowl. Ah? Really? Van Han widened her eyes. Of course, every day your popularity stays above 5 million. No Tin Noyet forced to smile. Van Han froze, unable to react. So we are famous. So Phong grinned, rubbing the girl's head. Van Han, what is wrong? Fame is not good? Lu Waimong asked curiously. Not good. Van Han shook her head. As the saying goes, people fear fame, pigs fear fat, fame is not good. She spoke firmly. But fans have rewarded you with hundreds of thousands of yuan. No Tin Noyet replied. Hundreds of thousands reward? That was much. He. Lu Waimong covered her mouth, clearly greedy. All right, hurry, drink the medicine before it cools. So Phong smiled. Okay. No Tin Noyet nodded, drank it all. Her brows tightened, she covered her mouth, resisting nausea, murmured, this medicine is too bitter. Bitter medicine works best. So Phong said softly. I will get sugar for you. Lu Wai Thursday said gently, broke a small lump of sugar from a jar, returned and handed it, here, suck it, you will feel better. Thank you. No Tin Noyet said softly, putting it in her mouth. Sweetness spread, dispelling bitterness. She exclaimed, so sweet. So Phong, when will she recover? Tai Vai Din asked. 3 or 4 days, we lack many herbs, only reducing fever first. Normally, fever with cold takes 7 or 8 days to recover fully. So Phong said. Ah, so long. No Tin Noyet weakly cried. Is there no faster way? She asked with a bitter smile. She wished to recover quickly to continue survival. Lying sick outdoors was worse than returning to the city. There is, but not suitable for you. So Phong shook his head. What method? She pressed urgently. Everyone also looked at him curiously. Cough, it is special massage techniques, stimulating circulation to renew faster. He coughed, sharing some health knowledge. The girls were stunned. Could massage help a fever heal faster? Does it mean undressing completely? No. Tin Noyette's lashes trembled, her pale cheeks flushed red. Chapter 378, Convenient for you to work. Most of the clothes. Which part do you mean? No. Tin Noyette blushed and asked. Ahem. So Phong raised his hand and whispered, all that should be taken off must be taken off. So Phong, I suspect you are doing something shady. Lu Wai Mong said seriously. Van Han and Lu Wai Thursday stared at him, eyes full of suspicion. Is there really no other way? Tai Vai Din asked softly, frowning. For celebrities, reputation and purity are very important. No, I suggest resting for 3 or 4 days, wait for the fever to subside naturally. So Phong said quietly, placing down the cup. Resting 3 or 4 days will be boring. No. Tin Noyette pursed her lips, touched her forehead, still feeling uncomfortable. Or go back to the city hospital, get in 4 and play with your phone. So Phong smiled, even in hospitals treatment is not always faster. No. Tin Noyette glanced at the camera, then whispered, no, too many reporters there, too annoying. Then just rest quietly. So Phong frowned, knowing celebrities are often chased for gossip. If not, maybe try a massage? No. Tin Noyette bit her lip and said. Tin Noyette, stay clear-headed, maybe you are burned out. Tai Vai Din put her hand on her forehead. Blushing, she weakly retorted, Vai Din's sister, no way. He. Van Han tilted her head, watching So Phong, and chuckled. She leaned closer and asked softly, why do you look unwilling? She is a superstar. Superstars are the most troublesome. So Phong smiled bitterly, rubbing the girl's cheek. Really, you almost rubbed the skin off. Van Han pouted and touched his hand. There are pearls, we can make a face mask. So Phong laughed, her jealousy was cute. Yes. Van Han nodded. Ahem, So Phong, help me massage. No. Tin Noyette coughed lightly, hiding her shyness. He glanced at the camera and asked, are you sure? Yes, anyway it won't expose anything. She lowered her voice, afraid viewers would hear. Are you sure, Tin Noyette? Tai Vai Din confirmed. Yes, with you here, I am not afraid. She smiled. This makes me feel like I am doing something wrong. So Phong twitched his lips. I will move the camera, convenient for you. Lu Wai Mong whispered. She moved the camera to point at Ka Dan. The livestream instantly exploded with red comments. Move the camera back, we want to see the goddess, this is unsafe. Only So Phong is male there, let me replace him. Look how cute Ka Dan is, fluffy tail, chubby paws. Lu Wai Mong teased the dog. Chi. A big-headed squirrel appeared on screen. Take off your clothes. So Phong said softly. He tapped his thigh. No. Tin Noyette blushed, trembling hands removed her jacket, revealing a black short top. Hesitating, she removed it too, leaving only a skin-colored bra. Embarrassed, she hugged herself. Great body. Van Han muttered, glancing at her own flat chest. So Phong, the pants, should I remove them? She asked hoarsely. His eyebrow twitched, quickly answering, no need. Phew. Slowly he turned, stunned by her white flawless figure. He pressed his lips, lie on your stomach. On stomach? Kneeling or flat? She asked instinctively. Flat, of course. He rolled his eyes. Okay. She obediently lay down, arms at her side. Tai Vai Din narrowed her eyes, watching him closely. Don't make strange noises. He rolled up his sleeves and warned. Okay. She nodded, blushing. He straddled above her without touching her body. Seeing nothing improper, Tavai Din relaxed. Relax, Van Han is watching. He smirked. Blushing to her ears, she stammered, and no, nothing to do with me. He chuckled, placing his fingers on her smooth shoulders, finding the acupoints and kneading firmly. Chapter 379, This feeling is impossible to describe. Hold it in. So Phong whispered. Mum. No Tin Noyet bit her lower lip, her shoulders turned weak, as if So Fong's fingers carried magic, pressing anywhere made her melt. Does it feel good? Tavai Din asked softly. Mum. No Tin Noyet blushed, nodded lightly, eyes shimmering with tears, her body limp without strength. Lu Wai Thursday bit her lip, watching So Fong's technique curiously, wondering if it was truly so relieving. So Phong moved his hands from her shoulders to her back, finding acupoints and meridians, pressing gently with strange techniques, making the actress shiver uncontrollably. Don't move. So Phong whispered, instinctively patting her hip. Tavai Din narrowed her eyes at him. So Phong quickly pulled his hand back, embarrassed. I acted by instinct, do you believe me? Van Han pouted, muttering, believe you, big-headed liar. So Phong paused, then continued pressing No Tin Noyet's slim waist, fingers slowly pushing up her back, knuckles pressing the points quickly. Mum. Her long lashes trembled, tears welling up more and more. It will soon be fine. So Phong said softly, changing moves, like massage strokes, gently pushing her waist. Time passed, her waist turned red, fine sweat oozed out. Don't stop. She felt her body much lighter, head clear, legs strong. Tavai Din's lips twitched, the words sounded so familiar. Lu Wai Thursday frowned, heart itching, secretly wishing to be massaged by him too. She quickly shook her head, chasing away that thought, a girl must remain cautious. All right. So Phong smiled, withdrew his hands, then sat aside. He took a cloth and gently wiped the sweat from her back. Tin Noyet, how do you feel? Tavai Din asked quickly. Once more. No Tin Noyet blurted out. Tavai Din stiffened, then said, I asked about your illness. Much better, body feels light. She blushed, covering her cheeks. Once more but with fee. So Phong smiled. His massage was even better than senior Chinese medicine specialists she had seen. Even with money, I won't do it. He said seriously, then stood, put on rabbit fur shoes, walked to the wooden rack, and said, hungry, I'll cook wild vegetable soup. Thank you, have you eaten? No Tin Noyet asked. A little. Lu Wai Thursday replied softly, handed her a jacket, put this on, keep warm. All right. She blushed, quickly wore it. She adjusted the collar, sniffing, asked, what did you eat? The smell is familiar. Before you woke, we ate lobster, later we'll grill meat. Lu Wai Thursday answered. Ah. No Tin Noyet widened her eyes, you ate lobsters? In snow wilderness? Lu Wai Mong placed back the camera, giggled, So Phong dove and caught them. I want to eat too. No Tin Noyet pouted, no wonder the familiar smell. She had eaten lobsters in the city, but wanted to try wilderness survival lobster. All right then. She sighed, though lobster was no stranger to her. So Phong found herbs, cleaned them, busy by the fireplace. Venison must be thawed, I'll prepare dinner. Lu Wai Thursday said softly, taking 2 pieces, cleaned the board and knife, then sliced meat. I'll help you. Tavai Din hesitated, then joined, washed the small axe, carefully sliced the other piece. MHM. She replied gently, skilled with the axe. At home she sometimes cooked, so cutting was easy. Lu Wai Thursday watched a while, then assured, turned to fetch rabbit and boar meat. Many choices. She nodded, said softly, you handle the meat, I'll prepare the grill. After more than 10 minutes, So Phong carried an iron pot, set it before Narrated, and said, "Eat." "Smells good," she exclaimed, quickly scooping soup, blowing cool, sipping. "Delicious, like chicken soup." Her eyes sparkled with joy, though she had seen wild vegetable soup many times, drinking it herself was truly indescribable. Chapter 380, A Compensation. "Ha?" Narrated chewed wild greens and asked vaguely, "No meat tonight?" "Grilled meat is too greasy, you can only eat a few pieces." So Phong shook his head with a light smile. "It has taste, I can eat it." She quickly nodded. "I have not eaten meat for 5 days." She touched her stomach shyly, now it held no fat, only wild greens and roots. She glanced at the camera, then leaned close to So Phong and whispered, "Sometimes we can leave one tool for you, what do you want?" He frowned, doubtful. "It seems the rules do not allow this." "Of course not, but this is observer privilege, a small compensation for troubling you," she whispered, fearing the viewers might hear. "Really, such a thing?" He was surprised, wondering if it was true. "Yes, but when we leave, the director will announce it." She spoke softly. "Then I want a sleeping bag." He thought for a moment and replied, "Since it would be announced, there was no problem." "I thought you would want an axe or waterproof cloth." She looked surprised. "Why Thursday and why Mong still do not have sleeping bags?" He answered casually. Though axes and cloth were useful, sleeping bags mattered more, giving the sisters better rest. Why Thursday called, "Time for dinner." "Coming." The door opened. Why Mong carried a torch inside. Why Thursday placed the clay stove on the earthen bed, and with Tay Din arranged the meat. "Eat quickly." So Phong picked chopsticks and lifted meat. "I will not be polite," she said softly and took grilled meat. "Eat more." Van Han smiled warmly. There was still plenty of meat, enough for all through winter, especially since the 2 stars would leave after 9 days. "Hee, after returning to the city let us often eat together." She laughed, her face turning rosy. "Great." Why Mong's eyes shone. "I wanted to try long ago." She took meat, dipped sauce, and ate. After a few chews her brows furrowed, but she forced it down. "How is it, not tasty?" Why Thursday asked softly while chewing venison. "Very good." Tay Din said, the taste though less than Michelin, was close to a common restaurant. "Not bad, just suddenly no appetite." She grimaced. "When sick, nothing tastes good, just drink soup." So Phong chuckled. "All right." She sipped soup, watching others eat happily. After over 20 minutes, dinner was done. Tay Din and Why Thursday cleaned the stove and bowls. "I will go tease the dog." She smiled and tried to step down. "No
books.
problem." She waved, but once her feet touched ground, her legs shook and she almost fell. "I told you to be careful." He grabbed her collar quickly, preventing her face from hitting the floor. He supported her against the wall. "Body is weak," she said, embarrassed. "Only just recovered a bit, of course no strength." He frowned, especially after 5 days hungry. "But my spirit feels fine." She pursed lips, feeling clearer. "Rest, at least until tomorrow to walk," he instructed softly. "But I want to bathe." She sniffed herself, sensing odd odor. In the city she bathed daily, now 5 days without washing was hard. "Wait, I will boil water for you to wipe, after fever passes you may bathe," he whispered. "Okay." She smiled. He stood, carried jars out, then returned with water. Only 5 clams remained. He decided to check for pearls. "Hope luck gives pearls each time," he muttered. "Ah, opening clams." Wai Mong hurried over. He used a knife to pry, revealing soft flesh. Van Han and she leaned, asking, "Is there a pearl?" "Yes, and not small." He smiled, feeling the round inside, then pressed it out. Can I see? Her eyes lit, first time seeing. Yes. He nodded, placing the rest on the table to open. So big, sell it to me? She held the pearl, nearly 1 centimeter across. When I leave I will send you gifts, you can get it then. She smiled, treating it as survival memento. As you wish. He laughed, and continued
NK
opening
Books.
clams.